long time, so. Okay, are we ready, Beth?
Ask Ben if we're streaming,
Is the TV show ready? Okay, great, thanks.
then we're ready.
Okay. All right, let's get started. Before we begin, this is a reminder that this is a remote meeting and teleconference using Zoom pursuant to 1 MRSA, Section 403-A. Welcome to the Sanford Planning Board's meeting for July 20th, 2022. This meeting will come to order. This is a public hearing, and unless public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are offered. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear something. Please note if any planning board members have any potential conflicts of interest of which they are aware, they will disclose the conflict prior to the board initiating a hearing or action on an application. All persons speaking will be asked to state your name and address and then proceed. At the sole discretion of the chair, public testimony may be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For each item, the applicant will be asked to describe the project. Thereafter, the chair will ask proponents of the project to speak, followed by opponents, and then those who are neither for nor against, but who may want to ask a question or make a general comment. Everyone who wants will have an opportunity to speak to the board through the chair. Any questions must go to and through the chair, who will then decide at what point to either ask staff or the applicant to respond. The chair may wait until after testimony has concluded to seek answers to any questions that are raised by public or board members. Please note that rudeness, uncivil behavior, clapping, cheering, booing, etc. will not be tolerated. If these behaviors occur, the chair at his discretion may terminate the hearing and reschedule it for another date. In addition, the chair, at his discretion, will limit repetitious comments. It is entirely appropriate for an individual to indicate that he or she agrees with the previous speaker. Prior to closing the public hearing, the chair will ask if there are any new comments. Then the applicant will be allowed to make a single rebuttal in response to a testimony which was provided. Once the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed, the chair will accept no additional public comment. However, a member of the board, at the chair's discretion, may ask an applicant or a member of the public to respond to a question. This will not reopen public comment. Planning board decisions are based solely on whether an applicant has provided sufficient evidence to meet the requirements of local, state, and federal laws. In this regard, public testimony is most effective when it considers the impact of a project in light of Sanford's subdivisions, site plan, shoreline, or zoning ordinances, or other relevant regulations. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will vote on written findings of fact. Since the findings may substantially affect any appeal rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending a meeting not leave until the board has adopted the findings for the project you are interested in. After the planning board makes its final decision, any reconsideration by the board must be made at its next regularly scheduled meeting. If anyone wishes to appeal the board's final decision, he or she must do so within 30 days. The city's ordinances and comprehensive plan are available for viewing on the city's website and in the Planning and Development Department's office at 919 Main Street in Sanford. Remember, this is a public proceeding. You have the right to see and hear what is happening, and we welcome public participation. Okay. Do we need to do a roll call, Beth? Are we good?
No, I've got it recorded. We've
Got it
got
recorded?
six out of the 7 members. Tom Morgan, absent with notice.
Tom is absent with notice. Okay. All right. Next item on our agenda is the minutes for June 15th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes? Motion?
Was there a second, Lenny?
Yes,
I didn't hear any.
That was Crystal.
Crystal, thank you.
Second, sorry.
Okay. No discussion. All in favor of approval of the minutes? Yep, just show of hands.
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. So 5 and 1 abstention with Oliver. All right, and we have the minutes for July 6th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
Lenny, who was the second?
That was Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, no discussion. Just need a vote. All in favor? Okay, I got 6 hands. So I guess none opposed. Motion is approved by a vote of 6-0. Okay, next item on our agenda, hearings and business. This is new business. This is file R19-206. This is minor site plan and conditional use for Pine Tree Main 2. This is retail marijuana sales on tax map R19, lot 206. This is to site an adult use marijuana retail facility on the right front side of the existing building where marijuana cultivation and manufacturing is currently taking place on property owned by, if I say this right, Cerulean LLC, and located at 22 Sameda Drive. Beth, do you have any comments on this?
Yes. First of all, I think it's an amended minor site plan, and so I'm going to correct all of the record associated with that. So the site plan review committee, sorry, I'm marking up paperwork. The site plan review committee reviewed this project at its meeting yesterday, and they did recommend approval with some conditions. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. There is some new, beyond making you aware, there is some new material on your desk. There's a revised site plan to address some of the issues that have been raised by staff. There are draft findings that I put on your desk that we'll talk about. There's a set of comments from Matthew Provencher, and in reviewing some of the revisions on the plan. I emailed out to you, or Jan emailed out to you information that there were some additional materials in your folder. There was the recommendation from the site plan review committee, the draft findings I emailed out this morning, but she also noted a series of photographs that Lindsay Holden, who's here this evening to present the application, provided. And I think that's all I needed to say, unless you folks have questions for me.
Okay. Any questions for Beth? Okay, I know we have a public hearing tonight. Is there somebody here to speak for the application? I'm here. Okay, yeah, if you could go up to the podium and just give us a brief presentation.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Holden. I'm a partner of Pine Tree Maine 2 and a co-owner of Cerulean LLC, the owners of 22 Samada Drive. We've been operating an adult use marijuana, or the adult use marijuana market since November of 2021. At 22 Samada Drive, we currently hold an adult use cultivation and manufacturing license and a medical caregiving license. We're asking for the planning board's permission to operate an adult use retail store in the space we're currently using as a medical marijuana office. There's one correction from the notes you first read, just confusion on my part. The store is going to be on the left-hand side of the building if you're facing the building from the street. It's on the front left side. Pine Tree Maine is a group of strong Maine-owned companies. In addition to the licenses we hold in Sanford, we also operate 2 additional adult use retail stores in Portland and Hollis. The property at 22 Samada Drive will go through minimal changes to allow adult use retail. The current employee parking lot will be moved from or to the right side of the building to allow for customer parking on the left. And then there will be 2 spots out front for customer parking. A new sign will be attached to the front of the building and illuminated with a light from above. There's no additional changes to the exterior. On the interior side, a counter space will be built along with display shelves. Additional security cameras will be added to the interior and exterior to meet Office of Cannabis Policy requirements. The site plan provided to the board, or the site plan I provided, was approved by the board in October of 2004. I've provided marked up versions showing what has been removed and added. The largest addition to the site since we purchased are 2 storage spaces. The building on the left is a permanent structure and the container on the right is portable. I've worked with the fire marshal when placing the permanent structure to ensure that all emergency vehicles could maneuver around it. And our building's also fully sprinkled, so that's helpful should we have an emergency. Pine Tree Main 2 would be open 7 days a week for business from 8 to 8. It will employ 2 people per shift. And the employee count for the entire building would be 14, including the retail area. Most people work Monday through Friday, and the weekends would just probably be about 3 people there. We feel 22 Smata Drive meets all standards for conditional use approval. As noted in the draft findings of fact that Beth prepared, we meet all applicable standards. There's 2 standards that were met with conditions. The revised site plan with dimensions to show ample internal vehicle circulation. These were submitted to Codes, Fire, and the assistant engineer today around lunch. And I think we've worked out one additional change that needs to be made just to make sure that there's enough room for 2-way traffic. And we're hoping that we can satisfy the landscaping buffer that the planning board requests by planting 6 hydrangeas along the front lawn. The property currently has shade trees on either side of the driveway. I appreciate you guys taking your time to hear us tonight, and we look forward to growing our business in Sanford. And certainly let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'll declare the public hearing open. Does anyone to speak on behalf of the
Mr. Chair?
application? Yes.
Before you do that,
Yes.
might I suggest, Lindsay, you share the plan on the screen
Okay.
while the public hearing's going on.
Okay, so this is the plan, and I'm assuming you guys can all see it. As you can see, the majority of the building is taken up by our cultivation facility, a small part by our manufacturing facility, and then retail would be along the front. We'd create new parking along the right side for employee parking, and then retail store parking would be on the left side.
Okay. All right, so I'll declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone who wants to speak on behalf of the application. Is there anybody online on Zoom? Not seeing anyone. Not seeing anything new. Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Okay, I don't see anybody. No hands up on Zoom, okay. Any general comments, either for or against on the application? Okay. Nothing there, okay, all right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. I'll open it up to questions from the planning board. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. As far as parking spaces, are there going to be 11 spaces here on the right side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, there's 5 additional ones, so they're double stacked.
Okay. And do you have identified which one's going to be the handicap accessible spots?
So the spaces on the right-hand side would be all employee parking. On the front, right outside the retail door, I had first designated one of those as the handicap spot because it's the closest, but I need to have an accessibility path. So Matthew and I just worked it out. I'm going to put it the first space on the left-hand side.
Okay. And the trees at the bottom over on the right side, is the right side right here? Is that right?
Where there's like 5 or 6.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
How big are those trees or bushes going to be?
Can I show you them?
Yes.
So those are the trees along the left, the right-hand side. So they go all the way down, and I may have, no, that's the only picture. So they go all the way down to the neighbor's driveway opening, and then the neighbor has some daylilies planted out in front of his space. That's their space.
Now, will that be a one-way in and one-way out, or is it?
This entrance, I can get you a better picture, hold on. So the entrance on the right side would be an employee entrance, and the entrance on the left side would be a two-way entrance for customers.
Okay.
On that shot right there, can you enhance up at the peak of the building, please?
I couldn't hear you.
The picture that you have up now, can you enhance it up at the peak of the building in the front, or no?
You want to see the front of the building?
No, right up at the peak over the entrance.
Oh, sure, for the sign. So it goes in between those two, that break in the windows,
Okay.
just a little bit above it.
Do you have sodium lights on the building?
You know, that's an old fixture. It would definitely be updated.
There's more than one of those, I believe, on the building. There's some on the right-hand side, too.
That one definitely doesn't work, the one on the
Okay.
right-hand side. You can see it in the picture right there.
Can you show us where your cameras are going to be?
Sure, there, can you see the mouse?
Yes.
There's a camera there, and there'll be a camera here. There'll be a camera here. There's a camera here. So the Office of Cannabis Policy requires you to catch a facial image when they enter. So you'd be able to get it from the two door cameras. And then the two cameras on the ends of the building catch the whole front area. And then on the interior, the office requires that you catch a facial image when they exit the building. But the store's, 450 square feet, it has probably 10 or 12 cameras in it.
Okay.
So,
So you're going to update that sodium light out front?
yes.
So, Jack, any questions?
No.
Anything from the design review, not design review, site plan review meeting? Any issues to consider from that? Nothing?
Well, they sent all that stuff out earlier today, I believe.
Yep. Okay, Joe, are you all set?
All set.
Bristol? Okay, I don't really have any questions, I guess. Was there any concern about the odor for odor mitigation? Are we all set on that?
Ask Jamie if it's been fixed.
Well, Jamie, is Jamie with us tonight?
Yes, he is.
Hi, Jamie. I know there was a concern that was brought to our attention, something about the odor control around the building. Has that been mitigated?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, over the last several months, we had received a couple complaints regarding odor outside of the property lines. We have worked with the property owner. We identified the issue the first time the complaints came in as a new piece of equipment. At that point, there was no scrubber installed on the equipment. The owners agreed to change the hours the equipment was used and at the same time order the scrubber for it. But until the scrubber came in, they were going to not use it when Walmart was busy, type of thing. About 3 weeks later, we did receive another complaint. We spoke with the owner again, and at that point, the machine had accidentally been turned on, I believe, against their knowledge. It was immediately turned off. I spoke with Lindsay yesterday. She did confirm that the scrubber has now been installed. So since that second incident, we have not received any complaints. We have made an effort to go down that road every time we're in South Sanford. And again, since that second incident, it hasn't been observed, and the filter has now been installed. So I do believe the owner has addressed the problem.
Okay. All right.
I have a picture of it. It's just on my phone if you want to see it.
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah, sure.
a dishwasher. So that's the dishwasher, and that's the scrubber, so from here to here. It sits above a dishwasher. That's the actual scrubber,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So as Lindsay has shown you, the problem was a commercial-style dishwasher that has a hood fan over it to exhaust the steam. So as it was exhausting the steam, they were washing products that had the smell of cannabis on it, plus it was a powerful fan, putting the building under negative pressure, sucking more odor out. So they put an oversized filter on it, so again, that should address the problem.
Okay.
How often do they change their filters?
Go ahead and ask.
How often do you change your filters on the scrubbers?
They are changed, they're supposed to be changed like every 6 months, but we change them every 3.
Okay, thank you. I'm good with it.
And we're all set with the landscaping plan?
Yeah.
All good with that?
Matt had some questions.
Yeah, Matt, did you have anything to offer?
Squeezing the corn here. Yeah, so my initial issues, I guess, were just the plans themselves. Originally, it was, I guess, the 2004 approved plan, and they had just kind of, changed that in a way that it wasn't as clear what was originally on that plan versus what was marked up now. So they've changed that, which is great. It's pretty clear now based on the kind of red ink markup that the original plan's in the background with the red ink, what stands today. The two big issues were the site layout as far as internal circulation goes. I know she said they worked with the fire marshal to get the apparatus around, which is great. It's just a matter of having the proper aisle width for two-way traffic or one-way traffic. And in this case, like she said, we talked before the meeting here, and we'll just need to make some adjustments to kind of memorialize that the right side and the front will need to be one-way because it doesn't have the width for a two-way. The only other thing I wanted to bring up was the stacked parking. I know it came up yesterday at site plan review, and I didn't know, and Jamie might be able to clue us in on that, whether it needed to be kind of, approved by the planning board, or I can't remember how it was worded in the ordinance, and like I said, Jamie can probably help us with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you for that, Matthew. So I did bring up yesterday during the site plan that I didn't think that we could allow stacked parking in a commercial application. I did review the ordinance, and my memory was correct. It does allow stacked parking for 1 and 2 families only for individual apartments. You can double stack one apartment type of thing. But it does not allow the planning board leeway on approving it for a commercial application. I haven't seen that site plan that just got, that Lindsay just showed. I was at a training all day, so I didn't get a chance to look at that, and I couldn't really see it on my iPad here. I forget how many spots she said she had, so she might not need that stacked parking. Lindsay, how many spots do you have without the second deep stacked?
11 on that side, and then there's 2 out front and 5 on the other side, so a total is 18.
And you said you have a max of 12 employees at any point?
14,
14. So you have 18 without stacking?
correct.
So without the stacked parking,
Is that
she
right?
has what the ordinance requires.
She's gonna lose one on the left side with the handicap aisle. Is 17 still good?
we actually need the 18.
Can I put them behind the storage unit?
By all means, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, I'll just add some more there.
I'm sure that, I think the planning board's gonna, if they approve it, it's gonna be with the condition that codes, fire, and engineering reviews and approves that plan after, so we'll better work out those details after.
Yeah, that was on the conditional approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are you all set, Matt?
Yeah, that's good.
That addresses, is it going to be, you're talking about one-way traffic in and out one way, is it going to be signage?
Yeah, so that's something that we'll have to add to the plan, and probably some pavement markings as well, just to make it clear
Okay.
what the circulation is.
Okay. All right, very good. I think, Beth, are you all set?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we.
Oh, actually, I do have one question about the hydrangeas, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I have not had a chance to look at what you are saying in terms of size. What size are we talking about? Are we talking about just like, 1 gallon pots, or are you getting shrubs?
Shrubs, they get to about 5 feet by 5 feet.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Are we ready, Beth, for the finding of facts?
Yeah.
This is Jack's favorite portion of the meeting.
Okay, let's see. So you'll be happy to know that there are a lot of combinations. Unfortunately, there's still, because of the conditional use standards, there's still going to be a bunch of individual votes. So I think I've gone through and checked them all, but if anybody wants to kind of go through your list and check them off as we're going along, just to make sure we don't leave any out, I'd appreciate the backup. So the first category are the conditions that are not applicable. And because this is essentially a fully developed site, a lot of the site plan conditions are not applicable because there's not going to be much in the way of changes. So the first one is 280-13-5.A, parentheses 8, and that's regarding shoreland zoning. The second is 280-13-5.A, parentheses 9, and those are solar standards, as is 280-13-5.8, parentheses 10A, and 10B. They're all solar, so they're not applicable. 280-16-7.A, utilization of the site. 280-16-7.B, access to the site. 280-16-7.C, access into the site. 280-16-7.E, pedestrian. 280-16-7.F, stormwater. 280-16-7.G, erosion control. 280-16-7.H, water supply. 280-16-7.1, sewage disposal. 280-16-7.J, utilities. 280-16-7.K, natural features. 280-16-7.L, groundwater. 280-16-7.M, exterior lighting. 280-16-7.P, shoreland. 280-16-7.R, buffering, and 280-16-7.S, airport.
Motion to accept.
Second, Oliver.
Oh, any discussion on the motion?
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the 280-16-7M exterior lighting, do we have to change anything if they're going to change the sodium lighting out front?
Yep, I will add that back in. So with that exception, any others that you want to change?
That was the only one I was
Okay.
concerned
Then
about.
why don't you do your motions and vote on that, and then we'll return to 280-16-7M, and I'll try to write one up.
Okay.
Do we have to redo our motions for that's amended, or? No?
So
Okay.
we just need a motion and a second.
I think we have that, so. All in favor?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch them. So that was Jack and Oliver, right?
Yes.
Sorry, yep.
Okay. All in favor? Show of hands. I see 6 hands. None opposed.
Okay, so for 280-16-7.m exterior lighting, the recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is with the replacement of the older front facing exterior light, this standard is met.
Can they change that after this one burns out? I mean, why not?
My only concern was it's older, and if they were to put LEDs on the front,
It's going to be changed.
Yeah,
We
it
need
would
to
be-
illuminate the sign, and it's not very bright.
security-wise, it would be a lot better.
You okay with changing it? Okay, it's just another expense for business.
I know, the electricians comes down a lot. It's okay.
Okay.
Need a
I
motion?
appreciate that, though.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? None. All in favor? Show of hands. Okay, we got 6.
Oh, I missed the roll call votes.
And you expect us to believe you, Jack, huh? The next combination is burden on municipal services. The first is 280-13-5.A parentheses 1. And the second is 280-16-7.11, 7.N. And the recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that private solid waste disposal shall be provided and the retail sales operation shall not create a burden dissimilar to similar uses in other situations.
Motion to accept.
Second it.
Any discussion on the motion? No, okay. All in favor? Show of hands. 6 approved.
Okay. The next combination are traffic-related, 280-13-5. Parentheses 2. And then 280-13-5A, parentheses 11, and 280-16-7.D. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The traffic analysis demonstrates the project will not create hazards to vehicular or pedestrian traffic. Give me a second, I want to look at the other text just to see if there's any substantially different. And then traffic, and I'm sorry, when you're looking at 280-13-5.A, parentheses 11, I referenced Syro Drive, it should be Smarta Drive. And then I think the same thing occurred with 280-16-7.N. No, I'm sorry, wrong one. D. And again, no, I'm sorry. Let's take the take the third one off there because that has some different language. So it would be just the first two, 280-13-5.A2, 280-13-5A11.
Motion to accept.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay.
Who was the second on that, Jack?
Bristol.
Bristol.
Thank you. If you could say your name, I'd appreciate it. I'm having a tough time hearing you guys.
Okay. All in favor? And I see 6. None opposed. Okay, 6-0.
Okay, so then 280-16-7.D, internal vehicular circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the site plan is revised to provide notes and dimensions, and adjust some parking features and aisle widths and one-way circulation to the satisfaction of codes, the fire marshal, and the assistant city engineer. The proposal shall provide for safe movement of emergency and other vehicles on site, safe and convenient circulation of vehicles, and prohibit vehicles from backing out onto Smarta Drive.
Motion to accept.
Second, Oliver.
Okay, any discussion? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Okay?
Oh, use the microphone so we can hear your question.
If we end up adding signage at the entrances, like enter, exit, is there any ramifications for you guys? Or is that something that I can just work out and?
I don't think that has anything to do with the sign ordinance. You're talking about street signs? or-
Yeah, just like enter, exit, and then like she said, on the right side, it's going to be, meant for employees, so.
That's not in a design district, so I don't think it's anything to
Okay,
do with it.
all right, yeah, no, just checking. Good.
Just work with codes on that.
I'm lost.
So
Need a motion? Got a motion for
the motions are there, Jack and Oliver. I think you just need to confirm the vote.
Yeah. All in favor? Show of hands. Yeah, so it was 6 and none opposed, 0 opposed.
Okay, so the rest of them are individual, but they're pretty short. 280-13-5.A, parentheses 3, will not cause water pollution, sedimentation, or erosion, contaminate any water supply, or reduce the capacity of the land to hold water. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that there are no changes proposed to impervious cover on the site and therefore will not cause additional pollution or contamination.
Motion to accept.
Second, Crystal.
Any discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It passes 6-0.
280-13-5.A, parentheses 4, will not create unhealthful conditions. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the project shall not create unhealthful conditions because of smoke, dust, or other airborne contaminants.
Motion to accept.
Second, Oliver.
Any discussion? None, all in favor? Any opposed? And motion passes 6-0.
280-13-5.A, parentheses 5, will not create nuisances to neighboring properties. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the project shall not create nuisances to neighboring properties because of odors, fumes, glare, hours of operation, noise, vibration, or fire hazard, or restrict neighbors' access to light and air.
Motion to accept.
Second, Crystal.
Discussion? All in favor? None opposed, motion passes 6-0.
280-13-5.A, parentheses 6, the location has no peculiar physical characteristics which will create or aggravate adverse environmental impacts. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the site has no particular peculiar physical characteristics.
Motion to accept, Diane.
Second.
Seconded, Joe.
Discussion?
Your call, Lenny. Who got the second?
Oh, go-
I defer.
I heard Joe. Joe was the
were louder.
loudest.
I walked over, big mouth,
That's okay. All in favor? Okay, none opposed, motion carries 6-0.
280-13-5.A, parentheses 7, has no characteristics that are atypical of the general category of use. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the use has no characteristics that are atypical of a retail sales operation.
Go, Joe.
Motion to accept.
Seconded, Joe.
And was that Oliver who made the motion?
All
Yes.
right, motion, yes. And Joe
Thank
had the
you.
second. Any discussion? Not all in favor? Okay, none opposed, motion carries 6-0.
The next one is 280-16-7.0. Landscaping, the recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is with the condition that was it 5 hydrangeas?
I think 6.
6 hydrangeas are added to the required 25-foot landscape buffer on Syro Drive. The proposed, and again, let's change that to SMATA. The proposal provides adequate landscaping.
Motion to accept.
Second. Crystal?
Okay, so we have Jack and Crystal with the second. Any discussion? No, all in favor? Okay, none opposed, motion carries 6-0.
280-16-7.Q, technical and financial capacity. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that the applicant has demonstrated financial and technical capacity.
Motion to accept, Diane.
Second, Oliver.
Discussion? No, all in favor? Okay, none opposed, motion carries 6-0.
Got everyone on?
We haven't got our patterns worked out yet because we haven't had enough meetings in person. Would you like me to read the motion? Normally, we ask the secretary to do that. But I'm not there to jot things down.
Yeah, if you'd like, if you're okay with an over, have to read the motion? Okay.
So the planning board accepts the information in the July 13, 2022 summary report and July 19, 2022 site plan review committee recommendation to the planning board, grants the requested waivers, and finds that the proposed amended minor site plan and conditional use permit application file R19-206 to cite an adult use marijuana retail facility on the left front side of the existing building where marijuana cultivation and manufacturing is currently taking place on property owned by Cerulean LLC and located at 22 SMATA Drive, has satisfied the requirements of Article 13 and 16 of the zoning ordinance, subject to submission of information and conditions described below. By August 10th, 2022, unless other arrangements are made with the planning director, provide 5 copies of revised plans to the planning department that adequately respond to issues raised in the review, which are part of the following conditions of approval. A, to update current conditions and resolve internal inconsistencies between the narrative description of the project and the site plan and address concerns about internal circulation to the satisfaction of codes, the fire marshal, and engineering. B, to provide a note on the plan that indicates that the CivCom site plan reflects what was previously approved, identify with a combination of notes and adjustments to the site plan what was approved that is no longer part of existing conditions, and add notes to the revision block to indicate who made the revisions, what was changed, and the date of the proposed changes. C, to add a note that provides an accurate employee count for the entire building and revises parking layout if necessary, to verify that parking requirements are met, including providing at least 1 handicap parking space, providing dimensions of parking stalls, and providing for emergency access to the satisfaction of codes, the fire marshal, and engineering. D, to provide additional landscaping to adequately address the standard requiring a 25-foot street-lined landscape area, add locations of proposed native plantings to the site plan, along with a description of species and size. And E, address all conditional use and approval standards to the satisfaction of the planning board, which you've just verified that they have, so I think we can drop that one.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second. Crystal?
Okay, any discussion on a motion? I get just one quick question for Beth. Is our motion going to cover the parking change that was referenced?
Yeah,
For
I
that
think so.
18th For that 18th parking spot? Okay. All right, very good. All in favor? Okay, got 6. None opposed. Motion carries 6-0.
Good luck.
Thank you. It's been a pretty easy process to work through. I appreciate everything being so clear.
Glad to hear it.
We like to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, old business file K32-54 is going to stay on the table for now. I think we're still waiting for some more information to come into the planning department.
Yeah, the material has finally arrived, and will be sent out for review by staff, and I'm anticipating it's going to be on the second meeting in August.
Okay, very good. And other business, we have an appointment to the Design Review Committee. Gentleman's name is Scott Haynes, and his term is to expire on 12/31/22. Beth, do you have any more information on that?
Just what I provided in your packet. Mr. Haynes did put an application in for the position. His background is that he is in the professional landscaping, lawn maintenance, general construction business. He thinks that perspective will help business owners through the process. And why he wants to serve on the committee is that he's interested in making Sanford a beautiful, welcoming city to attract visitors and business. Mr. Haynes's nomination was made by the city manager, which is required under 280-16-5D. And the recommendation is that he be appointed to complete the vacant term, which will end in December. So that doesn't give him a lot of time, but we have the various members' terms set out so that we will never replace more than 2 people at a time. And so my suggestion would be to have him fill out this term. If he's happy with the work that he's doing and he works well with the design review committee, he can put another application in December and then be appointed with recommendation, but if the manager recommends him, to a 2-year term after that.
Sounds good. Any discussion on that?
Who'd you lose?
His name was Bob Jaffrin, was it?
Yeah, that's who left. And
Mr.
he
Jeffrey.
actually never really attended the committee. He got on the committee and resigned very quickly after that. He had just some personal conflicts that he had to resolve, work-related conflicts, not a conflict of interest, but there was just, he had too many demands on his time.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint Scott Haynes to the Design Review Committee.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? See 6 hands up, none opposed, so motion carries 6-0. Okay, welcome, Scott. All right, next item on our agenda is the planning director's report.
So we're still on board to have a new planner start with us in early August. I don't have an official start date yet, but it looks like it's actually going to happen. Pardon me for being just a little gun shy. That will be a year that the planning department operated with less than full staff. And Jan came on with us, I think it was early September, so there was actually a period of time there when it was just me. So I am very, very excited to welcome our new planner, and I hope to be able to bring him to the next board meeting to introduce him to you. Jan and I have been scurrying around in the office trying to create a welcoming environment. Feel free to drop in at any point if you want to see what we've been doing. I guess the other thing I wanted to let you know is at last night's city council meeting, the council accepted the report from the Mineral Extraction Task Force. For those of you who were watching the meeting, and thank you, Jack, for being there, Diane for being there, although Diane wasn't on the task force, Jack was. Excuse me. It was a very long process. There were 17 meetings, upwards of, let me see, I don't have my notes in front of me. Give me just a second. There were 17 meetings. The meetings lasted typically between 2.5 and 3 hours each. So there's, between 42 and 51 hours worth of time, which was committed. That translates into about between 212 and 225 hours for the 5 staff people, including Dave Parent, who's technically not our staff, he's with the water district, that were dedicated to the meetings. In addition, I put about 125 hours into researching, writing, and revising the document. We don't have any new applications coming forward for the first planning board meeting in August, and so I've recommended to the chair that that meeting, the formal meeting, be canceled, and that instead we have a full workshop that day. The documents you're going to be looking at is chapter 280, but I'm also going to pass on to you the recommendations for amendment of 149, which is the licensing ordinance. You don't have a authority or responsibility to review and comment on the licensing ordinance. That's in the purview of the city council exclusively, but under state law, the city charter, and the zoning ordinance, any amendment of the zoning ordinance must first go to the planning board for review and discussion. I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be a little challenging. It's a 25-page document. The licensing chapter is a 6-page document. In essence, what you're going to see there is that right now we do a permit for 5 years, every 5 years. What this will do is will say you only have to get a site plan approval once. Obviously, if you want to amend it to add more area or change some of the provisions, you have to come back for an amendment. But essentially, Gorham Sand and Gravel, for example, which has about 125-acre piece of property, could get site plan approval for their entire property. Then what would happen is that each of the gravel pits would have to go to the city council for an annual license. And it would go through a relatively similar licensing process to the other kinds of projects or the other kinds of land uses that go through an annual licensing process. There's a lot of detail, a lot more detail than what's in the current ordinance. That was in part in response to the industry's request for greater clarity and specificity. When I send this material out to you, in addition to sending the full documents, I'm going to send you this little bulleted list that gives you the high points. And the second page of that list essentially is an outline of each of the sections that are in those 2 documents. I think it's going to, that meeting, that first work session that we're going to do, my expectation is it'll take us most of that day, that evening, to just go through the document. I think it's complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. And so I want to make sure that you understand what is being proposed before you sort of dig in and start, asking clarifying questions and recommending some adjustments of the language. Would you folks like me to email it out, those documents out to you, with more time than you normally get before a meeting? Usually I send them out the Friday before the meeting, but because it's such a lengthy document, would you like me to send it out like earlier in next week?
Yeah, that would be good.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a point of doing that. think that's pretty much it from me, unless you folks have questions. I'm sorry, I've been a little distracted today. It was a kind of a crazy day. I was trying to prepare for vacation, which I may not be able to take.
No questions for Beth? Any communications from the board? Anything you'd like to say, or? Oh,
Very dry.
it is. It's way too warm today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Joe.
Whoa.
Second it.
Second.
Okay, we just need to vote. Quick show of hands. Vote to adjourn, 6-0.
Put your hand up.
Motion
And
carries.
Lenny, I need you to tell me who
Last time you
seconded
get to
that
vote.
motion, because I heard 4 voices.
Who motioned?
Was it Joe, wasn't it?
Joe made the motion.
Okay. And I second it, Diane.
Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourned.